wait, this review isn't for Hungry Night? Oh, fuck. Hollow Knight was a game released back in 2017 by Team Cherry, and it released to, decent reviews. Players loved it, speedrunners loved it, the fan art community loved it, and lore aficionados loved it. It hit every checkmark required to be an instant classic. But how did we get to this point? Well, like any game, its devs had to start from somewhere. If you were to browse Newgrounds, you may come across a game that looks like it ripped assets straight out of Hollow Knight, and you'd be right in the opposite way. Hungry Knight was Team Cherry's first game they did as part of a Game Jam event back in 2013. As a result, they only had a few days to work on it. What they ended up making was a game about a bug that had to kill 3 massive big bugs to save its skeleton friend. It didn't do super amazing at the Game Jam, it didn't even score in the top 100, and apparently it finished last place with 0% in the coolness category. Ouch. However, Team Cherry was so in love with the main character's design that they decided to make an entire full game surrounding it. It's honestly really impressive that they finished their main character's design so perfectly in 3 days. Imagine asking someone to doodle up a cool character design and they give you the Master Chief. Like, what? After about a year, they had built enough of the game to show it off on Kickstarter to really get the ball rolling. The game was still on a game engine known as Stencil, but Team Cherry wanted to move to the Unity engine for more freedom. We'll get into the animation later, but the move to Unity was pretty substantial. But the game had a total reasonable release date of 2015, 16, 18, 17. The move to the Unity engine was the biggest thing that the game needed. The game devs were very impressed with how much more they could do with Unity, that they got lost in the creativity of all they could do. Basically, they realized that this could become this. So what is Hollow Knight even about? Well, you're a bug living in a big, wide bug world. Our character from Hungry Knight, known as the Knight, is brought to a strange land known as Hollow Nest for unknown reasons. It's home to a long fallen kingdom where the citizens and creatures there have become mindless zombies with a thirst for blood. It's unclear why the Knight came here, but with the intro cutscene showing a mysterious being waking up, there's clearly something going on in the background. There are a lot of mysteries in this game, and not all of them are explained. If you like reading item descriptions in Dark Souls, then you're gonna have a heyday with this one. The world of Hollow Knight is constantly in the state of looking like it's on the verge of collapse. Cities are being flooded, infrastructure hasn't been maintained, and even the outside areas look like a nuclear winter. The player will find themselves in rooms with hundreds of dead bugs in the background. Yeah, this game can get pretty dark at times. Dropping down to Crossroads the first time, the game goes full force with showing the player what it's all about. The calm, somber music, the long labyrinth hallways, and a sad grubfather crying with empty houses all around him. This is a tone that the game carries throughout its entire runtime. The deeper the player goes, the more horrifying things get. The Knight comes across nice breaks in between like Green Path, but it's best to get used to the color gray. I'd say that if it weren't for the amazing art design, that the grays will get dull after a while, but I never stopped being in love with the art. It's impressive to look at and easy on the system. If looking at this game makes your computer sweat, then I think you already know that this is beyond its limits. For the characters and enemies, they're oddly cute, but also kind of horrifying. Their cute design really helps them from blending into the background. Aw, look at this cute little bush monster. Murder without regret. The inhabitants of Hollow Nest that haven't completely lost their minds are wary of adventuring beneath the surface because of the monsters that roam underneath. Those that the Knight finds underground are either adventurers or crazed bugs who have long lost their sanity. There's plenty of individual stories, and not many of them end happily. Some of these characters will be met multiple times on their journey, and they feel about as lost as the player, but are more interested by the areas they keep discovering rather than being scared. Others are... I don't want to talk about you. Hornet is a character that the player meets a few times, and she serves a big role in the story. I'm not sure if she's wearing a dress or a sleeveless snuggie, but what do I know? I'm not getting my own game. At its most basic level, Hollow Knight is a 2D hack and slash. The moveset starts out very simple, with the player only being able to slash above and in front of themselves. But with how many moves the player can do by the end, limiting the movement so the basics can be mastered first was a good move. Abilities like the double jump take a surprising amount of time to get, and is only useful in a handful of locations. Once the Knight gets the dash and wall slide ability, a large majority of the map is open. time. Unless you do some fancy pogoing, the game can be completed without finding half of the abilities, which is weird for a Metroidvania, but I really like it. Most locations in Hollow Knight have multiple ways to enter that remove the item hunting that so many Metroidvanias before it have fallen prey to. That's killed me in Metroidvanias in the past. Going down the path, exploring some area, and then hitting a roadblock, where I then have to hug the edges trying to find the one place that I need to go. It also helps that Hollow Knight has a really good mapping system. When you hear the humming, you know you've gone the right way. Sure, Hollow Knight has the ideal ways it would like the player to go, and tries to cement locations into the player's mind for places to return to later, but it prioritizes blind exploration, then giving the player a bunch of dead ends until they find that one room that they actually need to go to. You can just be randomly exploring dark caves and find something amazing and go, oh shit. There's a lot of stuff to find here, with collectibles hidden in every conceivable spot. If something looks a little out of place, it's usually worth checking it out. The main collectible that the player will spend all game searching for are grubs to return them home, and I'll be sure to get back to you later about them because I'm still looking for them. Getting back to the exploration though, there's this one spot that has the ground shake to show that, oh, you better remember this area and come back later. Or you could buy a lantern and open up a gate to get to the same area a different way. Both ways are viable and feel equally as interesting for the player to explore. It can be really easy to go to hard areas pretty fast. Even with the open level design, almost every enemy faced is viable for the player to deal with, regardless of the skills that they have. Most enemies, even bosses, only deal a single point of damage, with the knight having 5 hit points at the start. Some enemies deal 2 damage, but those are usually off in optional areas for players seeking a challenge. This system allows for bosses to be easier to manage, but also makes the common enemy an equal threat. If a situation gets out of hand, it's hard not to die, and when that happens, all the player's money is lost, and a shade comes out of the knight's broken shell. If the player wants all their money back, they'll need to go and find where they died and kill the shade. If you die before you get back there, well... If money is something that you're keen on keeping, there is a banker that you can give your money to for safekeeping, but it's a lot of fast traveling to maintain. Hollow Knight is deceptive with its difficulty because it gives the player a lot of easy enemies to fight in the beginning. At a certain point though, you will begin to feel how hard this game can be, but the game is more than fair with its combat. But oh my god, fuck these things. Every time the knight hits an enemy with their weapon, they fill up their soul bar. This is basically the magic meter. The player starts out with the ability to heal right from the start, and this allows them to experiment and explore without having to worry about health all that much. Especially once you get health upgrades, you can tank a lot of damage and heal up afterwards from the soul gained from the fight. The easier sections of this game have a lot of enemies with predictable and slow movements that allow the player to hop away and heal up. When enemies start to become fast though is when problems start to arise. Sure, you could hop away real quick and try to heal, but that hopper enemy is gaining ground real fast. There will be a lot of moments where the player tries to heal real fast, gets the heal, and then immediately gets hit by the enemy that was chasing them. If you're in a boss fight and you stun them, don't hit them. Use those precious seconds that you have to heal up because you'll really need it. What can really help the player deal with the difficulty bumps is by equipping the various amount of charms that they find. As a Paper Mario pro gamer over here, and I'm sure that some of you are too, charms are just like badges from those games. Each charm has a certain amount of notches that they use up. The knight starts with 3 free notches ready to be filled up by a charm. Some charms fill up only 1 notch, but others can go up as high as 4 and even 5 if you prefer trash. If you really wanted to, you could go over the limit, but that makes the knight take double damage, and that's just silly. You can increase your weapon's damage, but you'll be sacrificing a lot of other abilities, like being able to quickly heal and slash faster. There's a lot of different kind of combos out there that are just as viable as others depending on the player's playstyle. Oh no. Just don't scare off the bug lady that comes with the carnival, cause she'll make some of your breakable charms unbreakable. I did, and now I have to walk back to this termite who now can't live out his vor fantasy. The pain we share. When it comes to platforming, this game has a few puzzles here and there for the player to figure out, but they're mostly there just to serve as a break from the combat and are nice little challenges. All of this takes a sharp left turn as soon as the White Palace is found. Who the fuck did they hire to make this? I'd like to introduce you to Tommy, the bloody newest member here in our Fang Dinkum Kamba crew. How's it going, cunt? So what exactly are his qualities? Tommy here makes fuck your platforming levels for Super Mario Maker, and I reckon he'd make a bonza addition to the bloody crew. Well, what do you mean?
I want others to feel the bloody same pain and suffering that I feel inside the bloody, deep and dark void inside of me.
What the bloody fuck, mate? I am going to be talking about the ending to Hollow Knight, so if that's something that you don't want to be spoiled, then go to the timestamp and skip it. Moving on, once the knight enters the resting grounds, they're introduced to the Dreamers. There, they'll be thrown into the dream world, where the Dreamers have trapped them to rest for the rest of time. But luckily, a member of an old moth tribe frees the knight from its permanent slumber. Here, the knight is given the Dream Nail, and the journey to finishing the game can truly commence. The Dreamers are acting as locks to a door that the knight needs to enter to stop some kind of disease that is spreading from behind it. The knight travels to the 3 corners of Hollow Nest and is able to finish off the Dreamers inside their own dreams, and before long, the knight is able to face what is behind the door. What's behind the door is a being that looks like a bigger version of the knight chained up and still very much alive.
He said it! He said it!
As the fight goes on, it starts to take a strange turn. Whereas in the beginning, the Hollow Knight was fighting back just fine, it starts stabbing itself with orange gunk spraying out of it and screaming in pain. As the fight continues, it just starts to fall down randomly because it doesn't have any strength left. It becomes pathetic. This turns from a boss fight into more of an assisted suicide. Eventually, the Hollow Knight is defeated and the knight sucks all of the orange stuff out of it and into itself. Our knight is able to fully absorb the orange and assumes the role that the Hollow Knight had filled. Now, you may be watching this and wondering what the hell is actually happening here. And don't worry, nobody who saw this ending the first time had any idea what was happening. It's like the end of Dark Souls, where you beat the last boss with sad music, catch the whole room on fire, and then stare blankly at the credits, not sure what just happened. There's a lot more exploring to do in Hollow Nest to learn the truth. I'm going to give you the quick version of events, so if you want to know more about Hollow Knight's backstory, there's an over hour-long video discussing it in more detail than I ever could. An unknown amount of time ago, the kingdom of Hollow Nest was plagued by an orange infection that infected the host through their dreams. This caused mass hysteria as people became mindless zombies. The king, known as the Pale King, figured out a plan. Him and the queen, also known as the White Lady, had bug sex, and she laid her eggs down in an unknown region known as the Abyss. The eggs hatched, and the knight and its siblings were born. I haven't been calling the knight it and they because I'm afraid Twitter is going to smite me down, but because the knight is literally genderless because of the Abyss. The Abyss is home to the Void, which is this black substance that emanates from the ground. The Void took the babies that hatched from their eggs, absorbed them, basically killing them, leaving only their outer shell intact. The Pale King waited for one of the vessels to reach the top of the Abyss, and then they would be used to absorb the plague. The thought was that since the Void hollowed out these bugs, that there'd be limitless space inside of them to hold the infection in. One vessel did eventually make it to the top, and that one would later become known as the Hollow Knight. The plan did actually work for a little while, but there was a flaw in the plan. For one to be truly hollow, they have to have no emotion or thought, but simply a purely empty vessel. The king had to raise the Hollow Knight to full size for it to be able to take on the plague and absorb it. And in doing so, the Hollow Knight grew a parental bond with the king. Since the Hollow Knight had some sort of feelings, it wasn't completely hollow, so after a while, the infection was able to escape from it, and the rest is history. The king was a major asshole for a lot of reasons, nothing specific, but it's hard not to feel bad for him with the events that followed because of the bond he was able to form with his own child. Once the truth is discovered, Hornet is found outside the Hollow Knight's room. Once the Hollow Knight is knocked down, she's able to expose its dreams, and the knight enters inside of it, and there we discover it was the fucking moths all along. The Radiance is a godlike being that got upset that nobody worshipped her anymore. Basically, all of Hollow Knight happened because she threw a goddamn fit. Once defeated, the Hollow Knight and the Knight break their shells and put the beating down on the Radiance and plunge her down into the void. This is considered the true ending, but there was another one added in the Godseeker update that tasked the player with beating one long boss rush. If the player beats Radiance there, instead of the knight breaking their shell into their shade form, they become this. God, this game is metal. But wait, I found all the grubs, so now I can... Oh my god. Hollow Knight is a treat for fans of the Metroidvania genre. Its open world encourages the player to explore and get lost. Team Cherry's art style and soundtrack transforms this experience into something else entirely. Once completed, exploring different paths or enjoying the slew of mods for this game keeps the replay value insanely high. If you like watching speedruns or randomizer runs of games, then Hollow Knight has a large community of just that you can find. The man, the myth, the legend, the Scurry himself is an utter beast beast at this game, and I highly recommend watching his videos to see how far he can push the game with random mods. If you're curious what Team Cherry is up to now, they're currently working on a sequel called Silksong, where you play as Hornet. It took Hollow Knight 4 years to be made, and with Silksong being built off the foundation of Hollow Knight, and with it being over 4 years since Hollow Knight released, I'm kind of terrified with how big it'll be, but I got that to look forward to in 20 to 30 years. When we return, it'll be another retrospective, this time on the Halo series. I'm trying to get that one out before Halo Infinite comes out, and we'll see how that game goes. There is a lot of games that I have to talk about, and I'm really worried about how long that video will be. I try to keep my videos around the 20 to 30 minute mark, but I don't think that's even possible when talking about 7 games. But it's getting late, and my brain can't handle typing any longer. I keep putting a Y at the end of Hornet, and I think that's the sign that I need to stop. I'll see you guys later.